Hello friends, myself Subrata Mukherjee and you are watching my channel Dr. Subrata Mukherjee Distance Learning in Commerce. Today I am going to discuss another problem on joint venture. This is lecture number 4 and you can see the other lectures in the playlist section of the channel. I would like to request all the students to record the questions with solution in your notebook, and if you find any difficulty in understanding, feel free to communicate with me through email and the WhatsApp number given in the description box. Akash and Pradeep entered into a joint venture involving the buying and selling of old railway materials. The profit and loss was to be shared equally. The transactions relating to the joint venture were: the cost of the materials including carriage was rupees 42,500, which was paid by Akash. Akash due a bill on Pradeep at 2 months demand of rupees 30,000. The bill was discounted by Akash at a cost of rupees 240. This expense in connection with the bill was to be treated as a charge against the venture. Akash paid rupees 300 for carriage outward, rupees 500 for advertisement, and rupees 200 for traveling expenses. Pradeep paid rupees 100 for traveling expenses and rupees 150 for sundry expenses. Sales made by Akash amounted to rupees 20,000. Sales made by Pradeep amounted to rupees 30,000. Goods costing rupees 1,000 and rupees 1,500 being unsold stock were retained by Akash and Pradeep respectively, and these were charged to them at prices as to show the same rate of gross profit made on the total sales. Pradeep made his acceptance on due date. You are required to prepare a joint venture account and Pradeep's account in the book of Akash. Here we have to prepare the ledgers in the books of Akash. So I am writing here in the books of Akash, joint venture with Pradeep account. So on debit side, you need to write particulars, then rupees. Then on the credit side, I have to write particulars and rupees. And I have to prepare the ledger of Pradeep. So here I am writing Pradeep account. So similarly, I have to write here on the debit side as particulars, rupees, and on credit side, particulars and rupees. So the first transaction is written the cost of the materials including carriage of rupees 42,500, which was paid by Akash. So in the books of Akash, we are preparing this two ledger. So joint venture with Pradeep. So joint venture with Pradeep account debit to bank. So Akash made this payment to purchase the goods for rupees 42,500. Now in second point, it is given that Akash drew a bill on Pradeep at 2 months demand of rupees 30,000. So in the Pradeep ledger, you need to write by bills receivable. Account. So your journal entry is bills receivable account debit to Pradeep account, and the amount is for rupees 30,000. So in Pradeep account, I have to write on the credit side as by bills receivable. So bills receivable account debit to Pradeep account. Then the bill was discounted by Akash and at a cost of rupees 240. So this amount of 240 will be charged in the joint venture with Pradeep account. So here I have to write to bank account. So on the debit side, I have to write as to bank account. This is the bill discounting charge. So bill discount charge. And the amount is for rupees 240. The next point, it is paid that Akash paid rupees 300 for carriage, advertisement 500, and traveling 200. So since this amount has been paid by Akash, so I have to write it here, joint venture account debit to bank. And the amount is for rupees 1,000. So amount has been paid for carriage outward. In the inner column, I have to write 300 rupees. Then advertisement 500 and traveling rupees 200. So total amount paid by Akash was for rupees 1000. Then Pradeep paid rupees 100 for traveling and sundry expenses 150. So in the joint venture account, I have to write as to Pradeep account. So joint venture account debit to Pradeep account. And the amount that has been paid by Pradeep was towards traveling rupees 100 and sundry expenses 150. So total amount paid is for rupees 250. Now in Pradeep ledger, in the ledger of Pradeep, I have to write here as by joint venture. I have to write here as by joint venture account 250. The next transaction is regarding the sales made by Akash and Pradeep. So Akash made a sales for rupees 20,000. So on the credit side of joint venture account, I am writing by bank account. This is the sale made by Akash. Since I am writing in the books of Akash, I am writing here by bank account and the amount is for sales and the amount is for rupees 20,000. So here I have to write 20,000 rupees. And sales made by Pradeep was for rupees 30,000. So on the credit side of joint venture account, I am writing here as by Pradeep account. This is the sales made by Pradeep for rupees 30,000. So what is the journal entry? Pradeep account debit to joint venture account. So in the ledger of Pradeep, I need to write it here as to joint venture account. Rupees 30,000. Then it is given that goods costing rupees 1,000 and 1,500 were taken by Akash and Pradeep. So, and it is given that these are the cost price of the goods and goods will be valued at selling price. There was a profit made on the purchase price. So here I am calculating the value of goods taken by Akash and Pradeep. So here I am doing a small calculation. This is working note number 1. That is calculation of goods taken by Akash and Pradeep. So what is the profit made on the cost? So the cost of goods purchased, that is purchase cost was for rupees 42,500. So this is the amount that has been paid towards purchase. And there was a closing stock. So I am writing here closing stock of rupees 1,000 plus 1,500. So 2,500. So 40,000 is the cost price of goods that was sold and for rupees 50,000. So this is the amount of sales. 20,000 was the sales made by Akash and 30,000 is the sales made by Pradeep. So here you can calculate what is the percentage of cost. So here you can calculate what is the percentage of profit made on cost. So I am writing here, therefore the percentage of profit on cost. So what is the profit? The difference of the sales price and the cost price. So 50,000 minus 40,000 and percentage of profit on cost. So what is the cost price of goods? It is 40,000. So divide this with 40,000 and multiply with 100. So 10,000 divided by 40,000 multiply with 100 is equal to 25. This is the 25%. So percentage of profit on cost is 25%. Now what is the value that will be taken over by Akash and Pradeep? So valuation of closing stock withdrawn by Akash and Pradeep. So Akash, 1000 is the cost price of goods. Multiply this with 125% because 25% is the gross profit on cost. So percentage of profit on cost was 25%. So I have multiplied this 1000 rupees with 125. It means 1250 is the value of the goods that was taken by Akash and Pradeep. The cost price was 1500. Now you multiply with 125%, you will get rupees 1875. So value of the goods that was withdrawn or taken by Pradeep was for rupees 1875. So you have to record the value of the goods that was taken by Akash and Pradeep in the joint venture account. So the value of the goods which was taken by Akash, I have to write it here as by bank account. This is the unsold stock of Akash and it will be valued at rupees 1250. And by Pradeep account, this is the unsold stock of Pradeep and the amount is for 1875. So in the Pradeep ledger, you have to record this as two joint venture account 1875. Now in the joint venture account, I have to find out what is the profit or loss that has been made in this venture. So you will find that the total of credit side to be 53,125. 53,125. You will get a difference of 9,135 on the debit side, which represents the profit on joint venture. So this 9,135 will be shared between Akash and Pradeep equally. So the profit that will be taken by Akash, you have to write it here as to profit and loss account. So the difference here is 9,135. You multiply this with half. This is the ratio, the profit sharing ratio between Akash and Pradeep, which is 1:1 or equally. So half of 9,135 is 4568 and the profit that will be shared by Pradeep, you need to write as to Pradeep account. So joint venture account debit to Pradeep account and this amount will be 4,567, which is also half of 9,135. So total profit of 9,135 on joint venture will be shared between Pradeep and Akash in 1:1 ratio. Now the amount of profit that will be shared by Pradeep, you need to record it here in the Pradeep account as by joint venture account. That is 4567. Now after recording the profit from venture in the Pradeep account, you will find a balancing figure on the debit side. So total of the credit side is 34,817 and the balancing figure is 2,942. Now I am writing here as to balance CD. Now what does this balancing figure represents? This figure is basically the credit balance here. So I can record it as by balance BD 2,942. So this is a credit balance, which means that Pradeep is a creditor of Akash. This is the amount which is due from Akash. So amount due to Pradeep is for rupees 2,942. So this amount will be paid by Akash to Pradeep in due course of time. Hope all the students have recorded the question with solution in your notebook. And if you find any difficulty in understanding, feel free to communicate with me through email and the WhatsApp number given in the description box. Thank you. Thanks for watching the lecture.